Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting has been provided by filing a copy thereof with the municipal clerk on January 7th, 2013, faxing a copy thereof to the Home News Tribune and Star Ledger on January 8th, 2013 at 8:47 a.m., and posting a copy thereof on the bulletin board on the main floor of Borough Hall, 221 South Fifth Avenue, Highland Park, New Jersey, on January 8th, 2013 at 9 a.m. The fire exits are to my right and my left, your right, left and right respectively. I would ask both the people, my colleagues and professionals and staff members on the dais to speak into the microphones, and I would ask the public to do the same. And if anybody needs, we have assistive listening devices available. Dr. Pomper, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Minkoff?
Here.
Councilwoman Brumlittler?
Here.
Councilman Erickson?
Here.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin?
Here.
Councilman Millay? Councilman Potts?
Here.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Here.
Borough Attorney Schmier? Here. Borough Administrator Kovac.
Okay, I'd like to pause for a moment out of respect for the tragic events that occurred yesterday during the Boston Marathon. So I would ask that we take a moment of silence and repose just to reflect on what transpired yesterday and anything else that may come to people's thoughts. Okay, I'd also just like to share something. Last night on the Borough Facebook page, I had the following message posted on my behalf, and I posted this on my own Facebook page as well. The thoughts and hearts of the community of Highland Park, New Jersey, are with the people of Boston who are suffering through the aftermath of the shock and trauma of today's horrible and tragic events. We pray for the speedy recovery of those who are injured, consolation to those who lost their friends and loved ones, and some measure of healing of the indescribable pain that now grips a great city. Gary Minkoff, Mayor, Borough of Highland Park. And I'm going to ask/direct the Borough Clerk to be sure that these sentiments are communicated via both email and traditional mail to Mayor Thomas Menino, who is the mayor of Boston in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Okay, I have a proclamation. This one? You want me to read this, I assume?
You don't have to.
Okay, well, then I'm going to, by reference, and this will be available with the clerk's office, this is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and in recognition of that, I have issued a proclamation dated, when did we date this? For observation on Friday, April 26th, which is known as Denim Day, and I signed this this evening in recognition of Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Okay, with that, I would like to turn to the governing body for reports. Can we start with Councilmember Foster Dublin, please?
On April 25th at 7 p.m., we'll be having a gun education meeting forum here. So anyone who's interested in coming out to learn about gun safety, we have a pediatrician that will be here doing a presentation, and as long as Sergeant Abram from our police department that will be here to give us a little bit of education about gun safety, gun awareness, the do's and the don'ts, and also they'll be giving away free gun locks as well on that date. To follow up with what our happened in Boston yesterday. Just want to let everyone know that I spoke with the chief quite early this morning, and he assured us that there's no immediate threat in our area. He's been talking with the prosecutor's office, the state, and there's no immediate threat in our area. What he asks us to do, as we're all asked to do, is to be vigilant, be careful, be observant of what's around us. And as the ads have been running on TV, if you see something, please do say something, because we all are a brother's keeper, and we need to be mindful of that we, the times that we're living in, that we need to be concerned with everything else that we see going around us, because we all want everyone to be safe. That's on that note. And coming up this evening, there's going to be a reading of a shared service that we're doing with the county. Our county fire prevention and our fire marshal, we will be merging with a shared service agreement with them, and one of our fire prevention officers will be moving over to the county. So again, we're doing shared service, and this is a great way of how shared services work, and it will be a significant savings to the borough as well. We'll still have the services in place, but the county is now taking over the area, and it will be a cost savings to us. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's certainly good news, and we appreciate the work that's been done both by our Public Safety Committee, Freeholder Polos, and his team at the county to underscore what Councilmember Foster Dublin said, not just a substantial financial savings, but that we have every good reason to believe, based on past similar types of situations, that we won't miss a beat in terms of the level of service or fire safety / fire protection that will occur under this new arrangement. Councilmember Welkowitz. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Potts.
That's okay. I knew I'd get my chance. The information is available about summer camp programs, both the sports camp and the regular summer sports, regular camp program, here in the borough of Highland Park. And the registration forms and information are available at the Senior Youth Center, are also on the website as well. And also, as a reminder, part of the advantage that we have here in Highland Park are that many of our teenagers are able to apply as employees, as camp counselors, and those applications for the summer camp counselor program is this coming Friday, April 19th. So if you're interested in applying as a camp counselor, you need to fill out that application and get it to Andrea Bay by this Friday, April 19th. On May 27th, actually, that's on Monday, it's going to be the annual Memorial Day Parade, so that's something to look forward to coming up. And for the senior citizens, I'll mention it again, their annual Senior Citizen Prom is going to be on Thursday, June 6th, and that's going to be held at the Senior Youth Center, and that will be from 5 to 8 p.m., and the theme this year is Dancing Under the Stars. Thank you.
Let's try this again. Councilmember Welkowitz.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one item. We're going to vote on a resolution in support of East Brunswick Township Council decision. In January of this year, the East Brunswick Township overrode a decision made by their planning board, which is a variance to allow a charter school located in East Brunswick to expand and relocate to a warehouse in an industrial zone. The issue is that several of the students that are enrolled come from Highland Park, and as well as many other towns and boroughs in the area. And we believe, like the council in East Brunswick, that there's a safety issue with having a public school located in that area. We try to enforce our zoning laws, and we believe that the council did the right thing in enforcing theirs, and we're going to address that and vote on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Brill Mittler.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like everyone to know that you can buy gifts for almost anyone on your shopping list in Highland Park. Just last week, I was faced with having to buy 6 different gifts, because apparently April is a very popular birthday month, I bought my nephew's birthday present over at Over the Moon Gate Toys. I went, got, and bought my husband's birthday present, which those of you who know him, don't tell him about this yet, because he's getting it tomorrow.
I'll keep it a secret if you don't tell anybody when my anniversary is, like you did last year.
At Gems Galleria. My spring pocketbook, which was a treat for myself, actually, I got at 10,000 Villages. My assistant's birthday gift, I got at Highland Sparks. My belated Valentine's gift, please no comments on the fact that my husband got his Valentine's gift in April, was from Eden Organics. And my niece's graduation gift came from Ashley's Bead Store. So I urge all of you, as you are faced with the spring and desires for new merchandise for yourself, as well as gifts for those that you love, please shop Highland Park first. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, John, if I could. One other thing, tomorrow evening, I believe it's beginning at 5:30, is the grand opening event at BBQ Restaurant. BBQ is located where the old Charlie Brown's was. If you've had the opportunity to walk by the corner lately, you've seen the beautiful new doors opening up onto Raritan Avenue. I was fortunate enough to see the owner on the street and force him to give me a preview of what's going on inside. And it's really quite lovely. So please join us in welcoming this new restaurant to town.
Excuse me, Gail, my birthday's on Thursday.
Thank you, Susan. It's a good thing the stores are open late Thursday.
I said this before inside. We're going to pretend like I'm the mayor and that I actually run the show around here, certainly the meetings. So could everybody humor me and pretend like that's the case? You guys, you agree? Okay, good. Don't you say a word. Okay. Well, I completely lost my train of thought. No, I didn't. I remember that.
It's actually
Councilman Erickson.
Right. On the agenda tonight are two items of major significance. One is that we're going to be adopting the municipal budget, which is approximately $13.5 million. And we're also passing a resolution for providing the school district with an amount about twice that, over $23 million. And so that ensures financing for both the municipality and for the school district.
Thank you. Okay. I just have a couple of items here related to, and Gail, forgive me, I don't think you'll have a problem with these. I actually forgot to tell you these the last time we spoke, which I think was today. But I think you'll be happy about these. One is that I went to the Mayor's Economic Development Committee meeting sponsored by the New Jersey State League of Municipalities. I wish that they would do these more often because they're incredibly worthwhile. But at a minimum, and they may do them more this year. I think there was a plan to do one, but Sandy got in the way. But anyway, we met last week, and there were a few people there from the Lieutenant Governor's Business Action Center and the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. And what I had spoken with them about is the interest that we had. There were the focus of the discussion really was on not so much business attraction strategies, although that certainly was part of the discussion, but the role of finance and financing for businesses of all sizes and scale in business attraction and economic development. And to that end, one of the things that I discussed with people from the Economic Development Authority was coming to Highland Park, bringing a few of the people, let's say from the Business Action Center, from the Economic Development Authority, and having a conversation about the resources they have available, whether we would act as a conduit, whether we would act as a facilitator, whether we would simply act as an introducer, as a mechanism to help be a resource in the provision of capital, whether it's for startups or businesses that are interested in relocating to Highland Park. So that'll effectively be a kind of train-the-trainer session, and they're supposed to reach out to me in the near future, and then we'll orchestrate that. But I was very pleased that they were willing to come here. Which leads me to the second thing, is that a terrific addition to Middlesex County is, I don't know how familiar you are with the way the SBA, the Small Business Administration, administers its affairs, at least in the state of New Jersey. And so they have what are known as a network of small business development centers. And they are affiliated with, at least in this area, the Rutgers Business School. There's a corporate office, if you will, in Newark, a headquarters in Newark at the business school. And then there's a separate small business development center that serves sort of the greater Essex County area in Newark on the Rutgers campus. And for the longest time, there's been in Mercer County and in Somerset County and other counties, but there was never anything in Middlesex County. Well, now the Rutgers Business School Annex over on the Livingston campus has a small business development center. And I was invited to the dedication, and I went, and I had a conversation with Elaine Tyler McLean, who is the person who is tasked with directing that effort, and I've invited her to Highland Park, similarly to meet with Main Street and our economic development team to have a conversation about how we can better partner, because not every business, I mean, there are wonderful stories of business attraction for all the stories you hear about businesses that are leaving the state, and that's certainly unfortunate and significant. You know, when 1,000 people are relocated to glistening new Panasonic headquarters in Newark, that's huge news. But it's obviously very important to us when smaller businesses, the kind of businesses we're accustomed to attracting, actually wind up here in Highland Park. And it doesn't always have to be small business. It can be franchises or branches of larger businesses, but notwithstanding that, the fact is that economic development is really a continuous activity, I think, for us here. And we have to be out competing for business at all times, and so therefore, one of the things that's important to us is making sure that we've got a robust portfolio of tools, others call it a toolkit, but a robust portfolio of resources and information that we can make available to prospective business owners here. So, and then the third thing is, and I can get back to people with this date, but this is really more just for your information, the Middlesex County Chamber of Commerce is sponsoring a series of, I guess we'll call them road shows, called Meet the Mayors, and they're kind of doing it by different sections of Middlesex County, and I'm slated to be on one of these panels in mid-June, again, really to network with current and prospective business owners in and around the county, or folks that are thinking of becoming business owners in and around the county. So those are a few things that I'm involved with, and the way I'd like to, I'm sorry, we don't have an administrator's report this evening because the administrator is not here. Borough Attorney, do you have a report?
I have no report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And once again, the mayor went out of order, so I'm done. Here's what I'd like to do. I would propose that public discussion, since we have the budget and a budget hearing, if necessary, if people are interested in commenting or have questions about the budget, I'd like to handle the rest of the agenda and then have public discussion at the end. So, Clerk, can you report on advertising resolution 4-13-120 amendments to the 2013 municipal budget for consideration of passage on final reading by title? And our auditor, Ron Gardner, is here to help us this evening in case we have any technical or detailed questions.
Okay, the 2013 Highland Park municipal budget was introduced and approved on first reading on March 5th, 2013. The public hearing was held on April 2nd. The budget was amended on April 2nd and was duly advertised in the Home News Tribune on April 5th, 2013. I have to read the amendment, so bear with me. Whereas the local municipal budget for the year 2013 was approved on the 5th day of March, and whereas the public hearing on said budget has been held as advertised, and whereas it is desired to amend said approved budget, now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Borough Council of the Borough of Highland Park that the following amendments to the approved budget of 2013 be made. For the current fund, the first number I read to is from, the second number is to. General revenues, miscellaneous revenues, Section G, special items of revenue anticipated with prior written consent of Director of Local Government Services, Uniform Fire Safety Act prior year reserve, zero, $1,946.41. Total miscellaneous revenues, Section G, $426,524.56, $428,470.97. Total miscellaneous revenues, $2,310,523.20. $2,312,469.61. Subtotal general revenues, $3,510,523.20, $3,512,469.61. Amount to be raised by taxes, local tax for municipal purposes, including reserve for uncollected taxes, $9,367,220.40, $9,618,707.99. Total amount to be raised by taxes for support of municipal budget, $9,820,578.80, $10,072,066.39. Total general revenues, $13,331,102, $13,584,536. Current fund appropriations, general appropriations, operations within caps, legal services, other expenses, $183,566, $264,000. Insurances, employee group insurance, $1,064,151, $1,059,004.56. Health benefit waiver costs, $0, $5,146.44. Public safety functions, police, salary and wages, $3,111,374, $3,161,374. Uniform Fire Safety Act, fire prevention, other expenses, $0, $14,946.41. Utility expenses and bulk purchasing, electricity, $104,000, $171,000. Telephone, $42,700, $53,700. Fuel oil, gasoline, natural gas, $65,000, $100,000. Sanitary landfill, $260,000, $270,000. Fire official salary and wages, $119,410, $104,463.59. Total operations, including contingent within caps, $9,170,599, $9,424,033. Total general appropriations for municipal purposes within caps, $10,517,531, $10,770,965. Subtotal general appropriations, items H1 and O, $13,051,102, $13,304,536. Total general appropriations, $13,331,102, $13,584,536. Water and sewer utility budget. Dedicated revenues from water and sewer utility miscellaneous, $25,000, $27,200. Total water and sewer utility revenues, $3,550,000, $3,552,200. Appropriations for water and sewer utility, debt service, interest on bonds, $80,500, $82,700. Total water and sewer utility appropriations, $3,550,000, $3,552,200.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Okay. All right, public hearing on the amendments. Do we have any questions on the amendments? Oh, I'm sorry, we need a motion. I thank you. Maybe I'm really not in charge around here. I don't know. Thank you, John.
I was going to tell you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, can I have a motion to take up the amendments on final reading by title?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Can I ask for the public hearing now? Okay. Do we have a public hearing on the amendments? Seeing that there's none, may I have a motion to adopt the 2013 municipal and water and sewer budgets as amended on final reading by title?
Move to adopt.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilwoman Borough Mittler?
Yes.
Councilman Erickson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin?
Yes.
Councilman Potts?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
Okay, and the budget is adopted. Clerk, can you report on advertising the capital ordinance for Wayne Street's road project for consideration of passage on final reading by title?
An ordinance entitled Capital Ordinance Providing for Wayne Street Road Project in and by the Borough of Highland Park, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, appropriating $175,000 to pay the cost thereof, has been duly advertised for consideration of passage on final reading by title, and affidavits of publication are on file. The ordinance has been posted and made available for public inspection as required by law.
Where's he going? Well, Ron,
Budget's adopted.
in case somebody has a question. Okay.
You might have another
That was the
meeting.
sound of our auditor leaving the leaving the building.
You might have
Okay.
another meeting to go to.
All right, so thank you. Okay, so we need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
One second. Councilwoman Bro Mittler?
Yes.
Councilman Erickson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin?
Yes.
Councilman Potts?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
Lest anybody think that this joking, it's fun to try to keep things a little lighthearted, but I just want to reassure everybody, we certainly appreciate the seriousness of what it is that we're doing up here. And we certainly appreciate the trust that you put in us, and I don't think it ever hurts to reiterate that. Okay, Clerk, can you report the introduction of a salary ordinance amendment for consideration of passage on first reading by title?
An ordinance to provide for and determine the rate of compensation of each officer and employee of the Borough of Highland Park and the method of payment of such compensation has been introduced in writing by the Finance Committee for consideration of passage on first reading by title.
Okay, can I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call?
Councilwoman Bro Mittler?
Yes.
Councilman Erickson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin?
Yes.
Councilman Potts?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz? Yes.
Okay, we're up to our consent agenda. First, I need a motion to table Resolution 413-150.
Motion.
Second.
Okay. So, remaining on the consent agenda are items 13 through 22 and number 24. Items 413-140 through 413-149 and 413-151. That's the resolution to approve change orders, public safety building, resolution to approve change order, public safety building architect. These are all resolutions to amend annual salary resolution, to approve our bills list, to approve payments to public safety building architect, authorizing submission of ANJEC open space grant by the Environmental Commission, to approve the certification of the amount to be raised by taxes for school purposes, to authorize reduction of the performance bond for 1177 Raritan Plaza LLC, Block 123, Lot 25, urging the governor and the legislature to retain funding in the state recycling fund in the fiscal year 2014 state budget, to approve the increase to purchase order for asbestos removal at the public safety building, and to approve shared services agreement designating the Middlesex County Fire Marshal's Office as the local enforcing agency for the Borough of Highland Park. Can I have a motion to...
Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry, what about number 25?
Right.
Okay, I missed it. That's item 413-152, resolution to approve facade and awning improvement contract. Thank you. Okay, so can I have a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Second.
Okay, roll call?
Councilwoman Bro Mittler?
Yes.
Councilman Erickson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin?
Yes.
Councilman Potts?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
Okay, Clerk, would you like to report on the election of a volunteer firefighter?
Yes, I received notification from the Highland Park Volunteer Fire Department of the election of firefighter Tyler J. Morris.
Okay, can I have a motion to confirm?
So moved.
Motion to confirm?
Motion.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call?
Councilwoman Bro Mittler?
Yes.
Councilman Erickson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin?
Yes.
Councilman Potts?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
Okay, do we have an open item?
Yes.
Okay, who's going to handle this?
How do I say it?
Councilmember Welkowitz?
Motion to approve resolution.
Okay, which is,
I don't have the number there, I'm sorry.
okay. Do you want to give it to me?
I do, I have it right here.
Okay,
413-154,
okay, and it is for,
resolution in support of East Brunswick Township Council decision.
okay. Can I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilwoman Brill Midler?
Yes.
Councilman Erickson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin?
Yes.
Councilman Potts?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
I would like to thank a very patient public. It is now time for public discussion. Jerry? Please, for the record, give us your name and address.
Darrell Popper, 348 South Third Avenue. I have a brief complaint that my birthday is in April and I did not get it.
I'm still waiting from February, Jerry, if that's any help.
Well, she's late on Valentine's Day. But I do have a statement I'd like to read. And at the end of that statement, I will resign as a member of the Highland Park Redevelopment Agency. And I hope you'll have the patience to listen to what I have to say. I am resigning because redevelopment in Highland Park is fatally flawed. Despite official statements that Highland Park is open for business, the record demonstrates that the borough, in fact, is mired in hostile procedures and hostile attitudes of some residents. The latest demonstration of this hostility is the rejection of the proposal for replacement of the former Sunoco station by a combined 7-Eleven retail store and office building. Let me be clear that I do not speak as an advocate of the 7-Eleven plan. I simply present it as a prime example of the unworkable redevelopment process in Highland Park. If we cannot remove this horror, how can we ever expect improvement? The 7-Eleven plan was submitted after 2 years of negotiation with the redevelopment agency and after the developer made repeated changes to meet borough redevelopment plan and specific conditions set by HPRA. These changes included creating a 2-story mixed use, an entrance on Raritan Avenue, major reductions from pre-existing curb cut footage, and elimination of the existing pylon. The resulting plan was given informal approval by a joint committee of HPRA and the Planning Board, and later formalized in a contract with the borough. And what happened then? Here is a very short history. The Planning Board took nearly a year to consider the project. It held repetitious meetings, allowed irrelevant testimony, and enriched only the lawyers, planners, and engineers in the case. It thereby demonstrated that Highland Park is resistant to redevelopment, not truly open for business. Planning Board members frequently changed their positions on allowing a single curb cut on Raritan Avenue, the most contentious issue. The board refused to take an early vote on this issue, which would have given the developer a clear determination and provided a clear signal to other developers. Members of the council worked with a small citizens group with a stated membership of 6 persons to develop opposition while making the specious argument that they were acting as individuals, not borough officials. They repeated untrue attacks on the 7-Eleven proposal and appointed a leader of that group to HPRA. That appointment has further complicated the dedicated efforts of the agency. The opposition, official and unofficial, demonstrated a hostility to 7-Eleven that has the taint of elitist disdain. This enterprise, catering to working-class patrons, faced objections to features of its plan that have been approved for other, more upscale enterprises. These features included curb cuts, street signs, parking variations, on-street and daytime deliveries, and franchise ownership. Now put the 7-Eleven proposal aside. Redevelopment in Highland Park has been hampered in other ways and in other instances. Here are just a couple of examples, about 3 actually. After 2 years of negotiations, agreement was reached on through street traffic behind Rite Aid from 4th to 3rd Avenue. This was a major component of the borough redevelopment plan and would remove considerable and dangerous traffic from busy Raritan Avenue. That plan was rejected by the Planning Board because of a single objection from a homeowner on 3rd Avenue. Another example. A related improvement involved the curb cut on the side of the Pet Mart building. The intention was either to close this curb cut or to make it a one-way entrance with traffic exiting onto 3rd Avenue. Neither has been accomplished. The parking behind Pet Mart is barred to the general public, and the exit path is blocked by garbage dumpsters that have no clear legal standing. Furthermore, the borough has renounced the possible use of eminent domain to obtain land for new building or parking, even when the land is unoccupied. That action has eliminated a crucial tool in successful redevelopment, and it probably was a significant factor in the withdrawal of a major proposal for redevelopment of the abandoned senior center. The council has provided no funds for professional staff, advertising, or solicitation of potential redevelopers. Outside of the central business district, the council and planning board have given far more weight to the views of a small number of self-interested protesters than the general interest of the borough. This behavior is evident in the rejection of plans for housing development on the site of the former JCC and on Cleveland Avenue. I'm getting to the end. To put all of this in a nutshell, there are two basic flaws in redevelopment in Highland Park. First, there are too many agencies involved. The diffusion of authority among the council and mayor, the planning board, and HPRA invites competition and second guessing. I applaud all of them and you for their hard work and good intentions. But it is inevitable that multiple agencies will compete for power. We see that effect in the planning board's extended reviews and the claim of some council members that they are entitled to prior consultation on redevelopment. There is a simple solution for this institutional problem. The Highland Park Redevelopment Agency should be abolished, and its task assumed by the council. Redevelopment may not be advanced, but at least any failures will come faster, and responsibility will be clearly placed on those elected to office. If the council is unwilling to assume these responsibilities, it must then accept and strengthen the authority of the redevelopment agency. The second and last problem is an inequality in influence commonly observed in politics. Groups with small numbers but a direct interest on an issue have more influence than larger groups with a diffuse interest. That is why, for example, the gun owner minority has much more influence than the gun-threatened majority, as we see in the U.S. Congress. It is also why the minorities of 7-Eleven objectors, a single homeowner on 3rd Avenue, and a few neighbors of the JCC site have more influence than the majority of Highland Park residents who would benefit from redevelopment. Solving the second problem is simple in principle, difficult in practice. It requires you, the chosen leaders of the community, to look to the general interest even when there are loud but limited objections. I hope you will take on that responsibility and that perspective. For myself, I can do no more. In conclusion, I thank you for giving me this opportunity to serve the borough, however frustrating and futile these years have been. I now resign as a member of the Highland Park Redevelopment Authority, effective on the installation of a replacement. Thank you for your patience.
Well, I have a couple of things I'd like to say. First of all, Jerry, I appreciate all of your comments. I certainly am grateful for your hard work, your wisdom, the interactions that we've had together over the years, and I don't think we can accept that. I think that has to go to the redevelopment agency, so that's the first thing I need to say. Secondly, and I need to be very strict on this particular point, whether I agree or disagree with any of the comments that you made, at least 2 of the sites that you mentioned are currently in the midst of quasi-judicial processes. One is the 7-Eleven, because while there may have been a vote at the planning board, nothing has been memorialized or resolved, so that remains in a state of limbo, right, wrong, or indifferent. And the Y property currently, although a variance has been granted, there's been no formal approval of the site plan currently at the Y, and so it would be, and I'm not even going to check with the attorney on this, I think it would be completely inappropriate for me or for any council member from this dais right now to comment on anything that could potentially impact those discussions one way or the other. So I really don't, and as I've said before, any additional commentary related to the 7-Eleven really needs to happen at the planning boards. Even though I know we've got a planning board member here, Alan, I'm going to ask you not to comment here about that, not because you would agree or disagree. If you two want to, how do I say this affectionately? If you guys want to take that outside, you're welcome to do that, but it's really for the quote greater good of the protection of the borough. It's not because we could respectfully agree or disagree, and I certainly appreciate the tone, the tenor, and the heartfelt nature of your comments. And I know how deeply you care about Highland Park, and I know it's not because of any vested interest that you had other than what you believe is the right thing for Highland Park, that you've done what you've done and that you've said what you've said this evening. And that's probably all I can really say about that, other than the fact that I'm saddened that the redevelopment agency would be losing a tremendous asset if they elect to accept your resignation. But I'm going to leave that between you and the agency. Okay, other public comment?
Mayor, may I comment on Mr. Pomper's address?
Well, I don't know what you can comment on other than what I just said.
Well, there are other things.
Okay.
And I don't intend to talk about any specific properties.
Okay, let me say this way without it coming out the wrong way. I'm going to give you a little latitude, not because I don't want you to comment, but because I want to be very, very careful about not crossing any lines. So yes, I think it's appropriate if you want to say something, but I just want to make sure that we maintain the bounds here of what we need to.
I thank you. Jerry, I know you many, many years, and I'm very saddened to hear that you would resign over one issue that came up. I know, as the mayor said, the redevelopment agency will be different without your voice there, and I'm sorry to hear that you're going. But democracy is messy, and the purpose of the public hearings was to open it up to the public, and that's what the process of the planning board was. Sometimes things go the way we want them to, and sometimes they don't, and you know that much better than I do. As far as any of the elected officials working with any other groups, I can tell you, at least for my own knowledge, I and those that I know who are sitting up here did not work with any specific groups on this. But as residents, we also have a chance to voice our opinions, and some of us did that. That's part of open good government, and you taught me that as we started to get involved in politics here in Highland Park, and I thank you for that.
One of you just aged the other, but I'm not sure.
Hey, may I respond to?
I'm just going to let Gail finish and then sure.
Oh, I thought she had, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so again, Jerry, I'm very sorry to hear you resign. I know the redevelopment agency will miss you, as the mayor said.
Jerry, and just before you say that, there is one other there are two procedural points I want to clarify. One is the same way that residents who might object to a meeting, let me rephrase this. The same way residents might object to a generic application, let's not even talk about anything that's currently pending before a land use board, might ask for a meeting with the mayor and or members of the governing body to advocate for a particular point of view, and would hear, that's all well and good. We have no, you said what you said about the redevelopment agency. By statute, we have no jurisdiction over either the planning board or the zoning board. Whether that's good or bad could be a whole separate discussion to have, but we don't, in some towns, the governing body has that jurisdiction, as we heard tonight. We don't here. So that's one thing. So the same way we might meet with a group of objectors or individual objectors out of courtesy, because that's a responsibility that we have as public officials, the same way we might meet with individuals or groups of individuals that might say, we'd like to tell you why we think this is a good idea. And I can assure you that for every email I got and for every meeting that we took where somebody said, I'm for, I'm against, I'm in between, I'm ambivalent, they got one response. And I think any governing body member that was contacted would tell you what I responded and what I directed them to respond and what the borough attorney directed them to respond, which is make sure that your voice is heard at the appropriate land use board during the time of the application so that it can be on record. That wasn't to foster opposition or favor, it was merely to foster the process of discussion and debate. The second thing is just, and hopefully I will explain this correctly, and again, this is not to advocate, really just to explain and clarify, and you probably already know this, but for the benefit of the public, since this much I will say about 7-Eleven. As I understand it, effectively what's happened is the application, this is why the application is still in limbo. There are aspects of the application that the planning board felt, again, of their own volition, for better or worse, were variances that they either didn't want to grant, or for better or worse, didn't agree with the redevelopment agency on particular variances, but they didn't outright reject the site plan application. Is that true? So they didn't outright reject the site plan application, and now and that's why nothing was finalized or memorialized. As I understand it, 7-Eleven has the option and the ability, legally, to come back to the planning board, not for the purpose of belaboring the process, but to see if there's a plan, because effectively the message that I got from this is the planning board wasn't saying good or bad. What they were saying is there are variances we don't agree with. If you can make a plan work for a 7-Eleven, absent those variances, then that's something that we might consider. Now, whether that's good, bad, or whether people agree or disagree, that was what the planning board chose to do, the same way the redevelopment agency had a different point of view. You know, my perspective, messy, yes. Checks and balances, yes. Are people going to like that all the time? Yes. Do I think that means that we're not open for business? You know, and I appreciate the fact that you didn't call me out on that personally, but yes, I'm the one who's saying it. And I don't know that where we are in any particular application makes that statement one way or the other, because fortunately there's still a lot of interest in coming to Highland Park. So anyway, I didn't mean to delay your response. I know you wanted to respond. I just wanted to offer those up as clarifications, please.
Thank you. I feel kind of odd that I'm being lectured about the nature of democracy.
I'm leaving that between you two.
There's a difference between form and substance. I think it was Balzac who made a great comment once that the law in its great majesty forbids both the rich and the poor to sleep on the bridges. Form is not always substance. Yes, there are open meetings and so on, and there's lots of talk. But the fact is that when a board with the authority to handle this takes 11 months of formal meetings and more 2 years of informal meetings to reject an application, this is not encouraging to developers. And I'm not making a case for 7-Eleven itself. I'm talking about the attitudes that are expressed in that rejection, and it is a rejection, and the kind of, well, I call it elitist disdain or classism. 7-Eleven is not good if you can have curb cuts for other kinds of enterprises. Now, I realize that this may still go on and so on, but the resolution adopted by, or the site plan adopted by the planning board, has conditions in it which are unacceptable to 7-Eleven so far as they have expressed it. I don't care about 7-Eleven itself. What I care is about redevelopment and what that rejection says about the attitude of Highland Park toward redevelopment and the delays and the unfriendliness toward enterprises that it demonstrates. And I think that's there. As far as, you know, commenting on things that are in court and so on, I know you can't do that. I can do it, and I can make predictions. And I think 7-Eleven is dead, and I think many people have said, not many, a few people have said they'd rather continue to have an abandoned, dangerous, ugly gas station on that site than have something like a 7-Eleven. Now, people disagree on their values, but it doesn't show redevelopment very important, and so I just find the process impossible. What can we do about this? I don't think you can continue to have a redevelopment agency and have it be effective unless you do give it real authority. And instead, not have meetings with developers outside of the redevelopment agency, as some members of the council have had, and not have a new appointee to the redevelopment agency going off on a freelancing expedition to develop his own redevelopment plan. And there's got to be some consistency, and there isn't. So I think the easiest thing to do would be to abolish the redevelopment agency, which you certainly have authority to do, or to change the ordinance on the planning board, which I don't know if you have the authority to do. But you've got to move the process along. That's what I'm suggesting. And because I don't think that's going to happen, I think the best thing I can do is resign.
Well, first of all, again, I thank you.
I thank you for your good words. I thank Gail for her good words about service. But
And just, I think it's important for the record, since, you mentioned with a touch of irony, when I started at Rutgers as a poli-sci major, the last person I'm going to lecture on democracy is you. So, but notwithstanding that, all I would say is that perhaps there are other approaches that might get us to the same results in terms of, or perhaps different or better results in terms of outcomes vis-a-vis the processes and the various agencies and boards. And, that's a challenge that this governing body and I have to undertake, on a continuous basis. And we're working on it, and it's a work in progress. And that's not said with apology. It's said with that when any administration or any governing body takes a look at the landscape and says, this is what we have, this is what we've got to work with, how do we make it, quote unquote, better? And to your point, there are different interpretations of what better is. But we know there are certain things we'd like to see. I think the redevelopment agency, I should say, the planning board, said what I think I heard myself say a few minutes ago, more or less. We could agree to disagree on that and some of the other points that you raised. We are where we are. And I would hope that if at some point down the road you like what you see because things are evolving in some positive way, I just want you to know that, not that you need me to tell you this, and I can't speak for the redevelopment agency, but you're always welcome to volunteer in Highland Park. You have a tremendous amount that you have given us. You have a tremendous amount to offer us, and I know that we'll continue, whether it's in a formal role or informal role, we'll continue to benefit from your wise counsel. And I hope that you'll continue to make that available to us in whatever format that may take. Okay, other public comment? Please state your name and address for the record. There should be a switch on there. Yeah, we're going to get you a little help.
Is it on? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Juan Ratliff, and I live at 219 South 6th Avenue. I have a couple of things I want to talk about. One is the rudeness of staff over there at the Highland Park Senior Center. As I spoke before, that there was a gentleman over there that had made racial slurs. And the borough administrator told me that she will look into it and get back to me.
Okay, well, since the administrator isn't here, we can't really address that tonight, but at an upcoming meeting or separately from a meeting, I'm sure we can follow up on that for you.
And I think that the person who made the racial slurs, he should be made to apologize publicly.
Well, since I'm not familiar with the situation, I can't speak to that. Assuming that that's what happened, then I wouldn't have a problem with that, but I can't speak to any of the facts intelligently, so I'm not going to speak to those facts because I don't know if they are facts. I'm not disputing what you said, but I don't have enough information, and I assume that the administrator may have more information, and since she's not here, we can't deal with that this evening.
And another thing, I understand that you all had Woodbridge Housing Authority to come here to run Highland Park Housing Authority.
Yes?
I would like to know what gives the Woodbridge Housing Authority a right to discriminate against people.
We're not aware of any discrimination that I know of.
Well, I was discriminated against by the Highland Park Housing Authority executive,
Well,
Donna Brightman.
okay, well, if that were the case, needless to say, we would take that very seriously, but I assume that we have a process that we would go through to determine whether or not that happened.
And I do also have a witness that this occurred.
Okay, so in such a situation, what's the appropriate procedure? If somebody has an allegation like that, how would we handle that?
Well, I'll really a personnel complaint, I think it would be appropriate to put it in writing and give it to our administrator. She could follow up and get back to you.
Well, I can do that.
Okay.
And another piece of business, Chief Risco, the last time we were here, you told me that you didn't receive a letter that I wrote to you. I heard from a reliable source that you did receive that letter.
I think the chief is a pretty reliable source for what he knows he did or did not get.
I don't know your reliable source is. If you want to write me a letter, put my name on the envelope, mail it, or deliver it. I'll look at it.
Or you know the chief is at every council meeting, just bring him a copy at the next meeting.
But I would like to know, since I'm bringing this up, I want to make sure that that the police of Highland Park do not retaliate against me.
I can't imagine that that would be the case. That's not the kind of police department that we have here. And I don't know what this letter is about. Apparently the chief doesn't know because he doesn't know what the letter's about. But I think that anybody who has an issue about anything should feel that they can come forward and that we'll handle it with the appropriate discretion and responsibility.
Well, I had wrote a letter about what was going on over there the last summer, and I'm afraid that it may occur again.
Well,
Like some people that don't even live there, they coming in the parking lot, leaving their garbage and everything in there, and the people that live there have to come there and pick up their garbage, which I don't think that's fair.
okay, is that the letter that you're talking about?
That's in the letter.
Okay, well, garbage is something that would be either handled by the Department of Public Works, or if it's private housing, it would be handled by the landlord if we're not responsible for garbage collection.
I mean, I know that. I mean, it's ran by the housing authority.
Okay, well, then I would say that perhaps as part of these issues that you plan to bring to the borough administrator in writing, then you might include that in this letter. But if that's the letter that you're referring to with the chief, I'm not familiar with this letter, not that I would be, but the chief says he's not. He says he never got it. You know, I'm not looking to foster a debate between the two of you. I would say if you have a copy of it, please make a copy and get it to the chief. I think, you know, and the administrator, because it sounds like some of the functions that you're concerned about don't fall within the purview of the Highland Park Police. Those that deal with public safety do. He's our public safety director. But there are those that don't seem to, and I think those need to go through our administration.
And another thing, I'm finished.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other public comment? Please state your name and address for the record.
Ruth Bickard, 307 Magnolia. I have questions. I didn't hear what you said about this charter school, something.
Susie, would you briefly discuss that?
The resolution that we brought up before, the Township of Edison, the Borough Council, in East Brunswick, in January, overturned a variance that was approved by their zoning department. They have the ability to do that. The variance was granted by the zoning board to allow a charter school to relocate and expand.
Mm-hmm.
The charter school is located in East Brunswick, and it gets children from many districts, including many from Highland Park. And the fact was that the variance was to allow a school to open in an industrial warehouse district. And the issues are with safety of the children, and also to provide a facility that will provide an adequate place for the children to learn in the best way. And as these are our children, Highland Park children going there, that we are encouraging, or we publicly support the East Brunswick Council for their decision, and we encourage them to uphold that decision.
So they're opposed to it, to the relocation to the industrial?
That's correct. The East Brunswick Council opposed the relocation to a warehouse district.
Well, that's interesting, because New Brunswick operated out of warehouse kind of situation for 3 years while they built the high school?
Well, there are situations where if you have a plan in place, a public school is required to have a plan in place. If you're adding, if you have a plan in place that you're working on, you can teach from some temporary facilities. This particular charter school right now is teaching out of trailers, which a public school would not be granted, and also is asking to move to a warehouse on not a temporary basis, but a permanent basis.
Okay. What's happening about the sidewalk repair?
Well, let's see, the administrator's not here, and our Public Works Chair is not here, but as I understand it, the engineer is in the process of taking measurements. As you know, we have several hundred applications. Oh, he's finished they finished the field work, so now he's doing the calculations. So bid specifications are in the process of being prepared. So I assume we'll be hearing much more about that very shortly.
Okay.
Thank you, Borough Clerk Hollings.
In your resolutions that you're appointing a new zoning officer, did somebody?
We tabled that.
Pardon me?
We did not appoint the new zoning officer. We tabled that.
Okay. One more question, 1 second. No, I guess not. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other public comment? Seeing that there's none, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you and have a good night.